Are you guys ready for Sickos? Let's get into some Sickos. The reality is that Costco guy is drawing bigger numbers than anyone else in AEW. Pro Wrestling Counselor screen grabs Real One and goes, and Real One says, "This is how you know AEW haters don't even watch the show." Heel Uzi says, "We have this in WWE and this in AEW." How does that prove that he doesn't watch the show? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Is what it is. So we'll keep that there. Zilla Fatu just got up and pressed this interviewer after he called wrestling fake. Now, this may be staged. Chat, let me know if this is fake or not, as Orange Cassidy cuts the cringiest promo of all time.
Like, since you're so big, like, is all the following on that stuff actually her, or are you just faking?
Faking what?
Whenever you just telling yourself and all that stuff.
Okay, chat, let me know if Zilla's kayfabing or not here.
This looks fake to me.
What do you mean it's fake?
Yeah.
Are you being funny? You watch wrestling, right?
I used to. I was scared, though.
Who's this guy? This your guy?
Yes, sir.
You guys know you gonna invite me here and he gonna ask me some shit like that.
We don't. I mean,
You said it's a fake Goose? Are you being for real right now, Goose? Like for real, come on, bro. Nah, I'm trying to disrespect me or what?
I didn't do anything. Come here, bro. Come here. Just asshole.
Yeah, that was fakest, guys. All right, there you go. Yeah,
that was so staged.
So, oh man, we got Sickos doing like full-on missions and for PWT over here, dude.
Oh boy.
And it's Jay Herbert side 95. Check this thread, Pro Wrestle Times, for the Sickos segment. Danhausen tweets out at Danhausen AD, who has me blocked, but I still love him. But I reacted to some dirt sheet thing, and maybe he just saw my reaction and thought I was like, I really wasn't. But Danhausen goes, "This site is filled with openly racist, sexist, homophobic like this guy, and people wonder why everyone's leaving. It's not woke. It's because people like you are dumb losers that will never amount to anything in life and are annoying as." And that's in response to this guy who goes, "Nah, that's me trying to figure out how you're so popular. You're like a vampire with Down syndrome. Don't worry, I'm not eating McDonald's. I'm feeding it to my brainworm." Oh, so he's making fun of Trump. So this guy gets mad and goes at 2 a.m., gets defensive about Trump. This guy's like, "Oh, it's a joke." And then he's talking to him. So then Danhausen takes it to the next level, is like, "Oh, this site is filled with, bigoted, obic, and all that," right? So Brad Shepard goes, "It may actually be the most accurate description that I've seen. I don't get why you're upset. This is what you're choosing to portray, and this is what ordinary people think of it. At least Eugene was good enough that he didn't need the face paint." So this guy comes at Danhausen out of nowhere, like, God damn it, which is fair. He's allowed to do that, but I don't know. Why is he a vampire with Downs? I don't get that part of it. I don't see that. But anyways, D Loves Wrestling goes, Duke, who's been on PWT a couple times, goes, "Hold on, Danhausen. The characteristics of your character are the textbook definition of behavior, or your characteristics. Definition of your behavior someone with Down syndrome may exhibit." What do you mean? Whoa, they're just saying, like, what does that even mean? Why? How? He does like a curse thing, bro. He's like a wrestling gimmick, It's silly, but I don't get the Downs. Why? What did Downs people do, bro?
Right?
Yeah, what the fuck did they do to get Jagged?
They're catching all sorts of space for nothing. They didn't do anything.
Yeah. Why is it a problem for people to acknowledge this fact? Are you ashamed? No, I think that's just like kind of cringe. I'm not gonna lie. This guy goes, "An additional point, as we hear in the special needs community, absolutely love us some Danhausen. So why be ashamed of your biggest audience? Embrace it, my guy." Oh my God, I should have vetted this before. So hey, let's watch this guy's clip, and I guess Down syndrome people love Danhausen. Down with the syndrome, that's what this segment's called.
I can't believe anyone hasn't made the Danhausen joke yet.
Yeah, exactly.
My brother, you have testified in front of the grand jury known as X, formerly Twitter. Now, I will add on to your points with this point. I am full-blown autistic, and I know plenty of people with Down syndrome. In fact...
I'm sorry. Oh my God.
I can literally smell this guy from here.
Hey, PWT Universe, I don't know where we're going. We're hanging out a long time tonight, okay? We're gonna get into some weird places of the internet. All right.
The darkest corners.
I can also
I really did join at the
from
worst
this,
possible time.
Yeah, you like literally, bro.
here in the special needs community absolutely love us some Danhausen. Like we are huge fans of the guy. I've been on that Danhausen train before he ever showed up in AEW. So like,
Okay.
look, are you ashamed of that? Like, okay,
Is he ashamed of that? I don't. Yeah, let's. I don't think Danhausen showed that he was ashamed of that. You know, so just, I don't know.
I don't think you should be. In fact, I think you should embrace the syndrome. Embrace the tism.
Get down with the syndrome. Getting up, come on, get down with the sin. I don't know. I think like this is just overblown. I have no idea how Down syndrome people got brought into this and why we're saying he doesn't embrace Down syndrome people. I have no idea.
IWC being overblown. That's a shock,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, what the man? Where did all of this come from? I don't get how he's not down with them. He never said that. He just said that a bunch of people are like on this app and whatever. I don't know. He doesn't like Trump or whatever, and that's his opinion. He can have it. I don't know. It's all good. Shout out Dan Syndrome people. I love you here at PWT.
I
Serious.
don't know why that guy zoomed into his eye like he was Kevin Dunn. What was that about? He kept zooming into his eye. Like, what was that? Throwing me off. I thought it was like the side angle from like '94 or from the 2004 Raw.
It was like the same look on his face while he was burning all the tape.
Yeah. Bischoff says, serious question. Although in full transparency, I'm most likely going to shred you like imported Parmesan cheese and make you famous on wise choices. Tell me why you are a fan of AEW. And then a bunch of people responded to him talking about why they were fans of AEW. We were fans from day one, was a different vibe and feel from what wrestling was back then. I don't know. It's interesting. Eric Bischoff threw it out there. I mean, I've given my reasons. It's pretty much the same reason. Like, we bought in at the start and then we just feel as though it fell off over time, you know?
It legitimately felt exciting at the beginning. It was something completely different. WWE was in such a trough at that point creatively and everything else, and everybody was just so frustrated with not utilizing their talent properly and the creative and everything. And I remember, obviously being a CM Punk guy, I remember when Punk came back on that first edition of Rampage, and I don't think I've ever been that excited about pro wrestling in 10 years. And how they've squandered it from there will be studied.
Yeah, and then multiple squanders, fumbles, if you want to call them that, before that and after as well. Like, they fumbled Punk twice. Let's not forget. They had a second chance with him. Get grabbed for him, and they blew that too. So, Brad Becker, 83 post. This person is truly special. We are so many things in this state that I could pick apart with only one thing that I might agree with. And this guy, C. Bag of Donut, says, Cody sucked losing, but AEW was doing great before he showed up. What? They handled the pandemic flawlessly when WWE fumbled with fantrons and forced enthusiasm from wrestlers in the crowd. Punk didn't bring fresh eyes to wrestling. He brought Punk fans to AEW.
Wasn't Cody the first person on TV when the pandemic?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
What, wasn't Cody the co-founder of the entire organization?
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with WrestleTix?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So he had a bit of a cope sesh. He tweets this out and goes, does that mean Triple H TKO bought WrestleTix too? Because I haven't posted numbers for this Friday's SmackDown in Salt Lake City, Utah, or some of their international shows. No, the reason I haven't posted for that event or the Australia show is that the maps are painfully difficult to work with, and I'm currently covering 50 to 70 other shows at any given time. Ticketmaster maps take me just seconds to extract information from, so they remain my priority. Non-Ticketmaster maps take significantly longer, especially ones like the one in question. That said, I did promise my readers on Patreon that I'd work on it very soon, so it's coming and they'll get it first. The wrestling world is constantly moving, and I'm just doing the best I can to keep up with it. Next time, feel free to DM me instead of making unfounded or childish claims. Now, people make these claims against WrestleTix because he used to be AEW Tix, but then when it started tilting to where like they weren't selling Tix, he switched to like everything Tix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's also a good switch as well because I think it does. It does the wrestling business a very big service because it actually shows the underlying reality. So, you can have something that is related to one promotion, and then later on you realize there's an overall benefit to the industry, and therefore you expand the scope. It's just typical IWC, isn't it? Really, of everyone's a paid shill. Everybody must have a bias. It's just nonsense.
WWE shop affiliate link down below in the description. PWT, you know what I mean? Costs you nothing, and you support the show. And while you're at it, why don't you come over to savewithpwt.com? Oh, come on now, Paul. That's not very fair.
You've gotten smoother since the last time I've been on, Phil.
Don't forget the PWT razors now.
So, high IQ from Neckbeard. So, Clorox Jello Shot says, but Big Show and Strowman flipping 10,000-pound vehicles is totally fine. Shut up, Mark. And he says that about Neckbeards when he was making fun of Cassidy. So, you didn't see it, Paul Nolan, obviously, but on Dynamite, Orange Cassidy was duct taped. His arms were duct taped into his pockets, and then he was surrounded by like 4 guys. And then 4 or 5 people, and they were beating the shit out of him. And then he started doing the fake kicks to Moxley. And exactly. Everyone was like, "What the?" And then this guy compares it to Big Show flipping a vehicle.
Yeah, but Big Show can actually flip a vehicle.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, Sickos on the prowl. I got tagged in this. WWE Real One says, "At what point do you think everyone turned on AEW? Punk getting fired, Triple H taking over, Cody going to WWE. Everyone went with." Like 57% rather went with Punk getting fired. I mean, I could agree. AEW is not good because TK can't book. TK books for Meltzer. WWE's fault. And yes, 71% agree. TK can't book. And it's like, bro,
I love the fact that WWE's fault is slightly higher than TK books for Meltzer. It's like, at what point is this anything to do with WWE?
I just love how even his own people are like, you shouldn't have Punk and TK can't book,
Everybody has their come to Jesus moments eventually, don't they? Just some later than others.
WWE_WWF_junkie, who blocked me as well because he said he'd delete if Punk came back to WWE. And then I was like, bro, you got to delete. And then he blocked me, even though we followed each other. Like, I liked him and stuff. It wasn't like I was hating on him, but I was just being a smartass. But either way, he screen grabbed JD from NY, who says, Orange Cassidy duct taped with his hands in his pockets, decided to throw his weak gimmick kicks at John Moxley. And you want me to take this guy as a serious threat Saturday at the pay-per-view? Who the writes this garbage? I'm embarrassed I just watched this gabagoo. And then,
I got a guy in Yonkers.
And then Solomonster's like, oh, that was easily the worst go-home show in the 5 years this company has been doing pay-per-views. Colder than a corpse. Colder than my takes. Sorry, I got you. Dumbest that wrestling Mark says. So this wrestling Mark guy was famous on Twitter for just being toxic in the IWC. He goes over to Blue Sky, and all he can do since going to Blue Sky is talk about Twitter. Literally, it's all he does. He just talks about, and we've chronicled it here at PWT. He just talks about how Twitter is this and Blue Sky is so much better, blah, blah, blah. But he can't stop talking about Twitter. So Wrestling Mark goes, one of the few negative things that seems to have seeped through to hear from Twitter. Yeah, because all you Twitter toxic idiots went to Blue Sky, and we covered it on the other show too. They all reported each other. Blue Sky got more reports in one day, in like 1 month, than they did all of last year, from all of you people going there and then reporting each other and reporting all the stuff that people are doing on Blue Sky that you don't like. Do you guys not get it? You're the pigs eating each other alive, man. Like, you're the problem. You guys are the weirdos that can't help yourselves from getting triggered and overreacting and saying dumb that we all want to go away. So anyways, so one of the few negative things that seems to have, so sorry, for the last like couple weeks as well, Wrestling Mark's just going, oh, man, the Blue Sky's amazing. There's nothing from Twitter over here. No thirst traps, no checks, no whatever. All this. Now just like I said, give it a week, give it 2 weeks, give it a month. It's just like Threads. You guys will be back on Twitter. This guy's already talking about the negatives on Blue Sky. Go figure. So he goes, one of the negative things that seems to have seeped through here from Twitter is the irrational discourse surrounding Mercedes Mone. She was out injured for a year and still has these 4 matches in her 2024 catalog. How many female wrestlers in NA can compete with this, please? So instead of just saying, man, a lot of people hate on Monet, damn, the Monet hates even on Blue Sky, or yeah, I noticed people hate on Monet a lot. But what about these 4 matches after her being out for 4 years? Instead, this guy has to make it about Twitter because, like I said on this show, he's obsessed with Twitter, and I called it the out right there. Anyways, more evidence. Okay, we're watching you sickos, right? Moving along here. Speaking of watching sickos, Elbu was not being watched by Tony Khan when this exchange happened.
What's your name?
Look at Elbu. Is it going to be my turn next, boss? Can I get a job too? Moving along.
I'm Will Washington's friend.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
But better.
So AEW Freakazoids really do live in another reality from WWE Counselor. So this is from King Ao. And 3 years ago today, the WWE fired Swerve Strickland. He's since completely reinvented himself and become a bona fide star and a top guy. Top 3 AEW tag title run, top 3 AEW world title run, main event of Wembley Stadium, first ever black AEW world champion, and the best is still yet to come. The best gift WWE could give AEW. You know, I was with him until that last sentence where it's like, way to remind everyone, you know, Jesus Christ, way to make it about the Fed still, you guy.
No, you lost me at the tag run. The tag title run with Keith Lee that everybody told was terrible. No, he lost me early.
So we got this guy at Twisted John X is like, oh, Shotzi. So hating on Shotzi for saying inspiring to Stephanie McMahon, who's congratulating her mother for becoming the United States Secretary of Education. Now, look, I don't care about your goddamn politics, but why are you hating on somebody inspired by their mother, congratulating their mother doing something in the White House? Like, yeah, I mean, whatever you think, man, it's not everyone gets to do that in a lifetime. Not everyone gets to even know someone who does something like that. So I don't know. Weird behavior from the IWC as usual. Elbu legitimized this. Oh, we covered that before. So what are your guys' opinions? I want your thoughts, Alt Jake. Do you think, because I gave mine before, I think Dixie Carter was legit greater than Tony Khan as far as like.
Absolutely. Because she knew, here's the thing. She knew what she knew, but more importantly, she knew what she didn't know. And that's where Tony's failure is.
Yeah.
She knew she wasn't able to do that.
This isn't like to put her over as like one of the best or anything, but I think honestly, she knew how to manage better, to say the least. Like she knew to have certain people watching certain people. She knew, and like say what you will, but bringing Hogan and like they got big houses because of that. So say what you will, but Paul, what do you think? Do you think Dixie, like we've gotten to that point where Tony Khan is worse than Dixie officially?
I don't think he was ever better than her. Frankly, Bingo. I mean, you look at that TNA roster, even though I never watched a solitary second of TNA, they had at one stage, they had Mick Foley, Eric Bischoff, Sting, Hogan, Flair, RVD. Like, they were legitimate competition for a while.
Yeah,
they were legit Abyss. Yeah, exactly.
And they had their own characters that got over, like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Abyss,
Chris Daniels,
and Nick Aldis as well.
Oh, Nick Aldis,
Magnus.
Fuck, is he good, man? Oh, he's so good, man.
I can't wait for that moment, man. I can't wait for that moment when he rips his shirt off and it's on like Donkey Kong. It's gonna happen.
It is,
and he's the GM, and he's jackeder than everyone in AEW.
Yeah, but you know what I love about that, right? Is that you need that in your GMs. And Adam Pearce is the same. Both ex-NWA world champions. So they legitimately can stand up to talent when they're out of line and go, listen, pipe down. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Honestly, if they don't do that next year for like Survivor Series, when you have real brand competition and it ends up with like the
It ends up with them at Mania. That's how
the
it ends.
the deciding thing in the Raw versus SmackDown thing in the Netflix era is literally a singles match between Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. It's like it writes itself.
I think Triple H is going to have them have a match at Mania because he was fans of both of them as workers. I think that's going to.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be this year. I think it'll start
Yeah.
at the end. Like, yeah, Survivor Series next
got
year.
to.
Start it. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's got to. It's got
I'm
to.
with
And
that.
also, as well, just with what I'm seeing here, I will not have a single solitary bad word said about the movie The Town. It's a classic.
Me neither.
It's an absolute classic. I'm a huge Ben Affleck fan. It's the second greatest heist movie of all time behind Heat. Honest to God, three of my favorite movies of the last 25 years are Ben Affleck movies. Argo, The Town, and Good Will Hunting.
Those are fantastic flicks, all three of them.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. So Bill Simmons referred to AEW as discount WWE and said AEW's arrow pointed down from a product standpoint and an interest standpoint. He did call MJF a star of AEW, though. And then this guy, BJ Bethel, who's Tony Khan's childhood friend, legit. He goes, Simmons and his clown, resident wrestling historian, shouldn't be allowed to discuss the sport as knowledgeable as he is on almost all he favors.
As
right?
knowledgeable as I am about grammar.
Phil's not that drunk yet, okay? He makes anyone reading him about wrestling dumber.
God.
Wait, hold on. He makes anyone reading him about wrestling dumber for making the effort.
You know what I've just realised? This entire discourse that I've been subjected to since I decided to come on this stream is exactly the reason why Zoolander wanted to open a school.
Yeah, yes. Children can't fit in here.
The files are in the computer?
Yeah, the files are in the computer. So I tweeted this out. Matt Kuhn would never post the reverse of this. I talked about it earlier. So Ringhaven says, because they're catering to the sickos instead of growing their audience, propose a way for AEW to grow its audience without copying WWE. Propose a unique idea that reinforces a unique identity for AEW. Well, the sports-based thing right there, the overlapping with other big companies, that's a way to make it unique and not the way WWE's doing it. Like, yeah, it's okay to have Ring of Honor guys on AEW, just not all the time, not senselessly, not with seemingly no direction. Like, it's okay to have these sort of crossover things once a year. There's a lot of ways to make it unique. How about start with commentary? How about we make it unique there and we have guys calling it like a sport and giving us the stats and percentages Tony Khan promised. Oh, when Mercedes Moné hits the bank statement, I don't even know what it's called. She wins 78% of her matches, but if it's reversed, she loses 48. So Statlander will be looking to land her big boot that finishes, whatever. She's lost 10% of matches by countout, though. She's susceptible to that. I'm literally babbling dumb. That doesn't.
And isn't it interesting that that's where WWE ended up going by hiring
that's where they're
people
going
like
now with Tessitore.
Joe Tessitore, and even though it kind of descends into a little bit of a send up and a bit of humor, like one of my favorite parts of the coverage was when they let Pat McAfee loose on the telestrator. The way that they present it now, they've got that balance right, and it's a real shame for AEW because I did actually sense within the first couple of years that was the direction that they were heading in, and the thing that made me interested apart from that was they were getting into that sort of shared wrestling universe of all of these interconnected promotions, and it meant that you would have had to have gotten across all of them in order to understand everything that was going on, and effectively it would have been the most of the indie scene almost like teaming up to become like a Voltron against WWE, and they've just so unbelievably dropped the ball on it because Tony decided to drain those promotions of talent rather than actually cooperate.
Marie Shadow's friend of the show responds and says, all podcasters with common sense and good talking points have all proposed ways for AEW to grow. AEW needed an identity before reinforcing an identity. Boom, exactly. I've said it. They have an identity crisis. They don't know what they want to be. It's everyone doing whatever they want, and then Tony's the last minute, yes, that's okay. Like, he just throws in, he gets the last thumbprint, the little fingerprint at the end. He gets to add the last little dash of salt in the soup there. before it gets served out and it all up, you know, and no one's following a recipe. They're all just doing whatever and that's the thing too. If you cook, you know, man, yes, follow a recipe, but add your own flair. Maybe you add a little extra cinnamon in that bitch, and that's why your pie's so good or whatever. You know what I mean? You have a formula, you follow it, and then you kind of freestyle a little bit and figure out what works and what doesn't. That's like all great art. Paul can tell you about this. You know what I mean? He has no formula. He's just all over the place. Everyone's doing their own formulas. So that's the thing with WWE. All the wrestlers, all the talent, everyone has a foundation sewn into them, right? We're watching Tough Enough over on Patreon, patreon.com/ProWrestleTimes. Me and all Jake, we're watching Tough Enough season 1. So, like, even though Chris Nowinski was trained by Killer Kowalski, who also trained Triple H, etc., they told him, they're like, you know, that's good you were trained by him, but are you ready to unlearn everything you were taught and be retrained? And people might think, oh, it's brainwashing, it's the WWE baby style, but it's not, man. What it is like giving them that foundation to work on TV at the highest level, and then you get creative from there. It's just it's mastering your skill, or it's honing your skill rather, before you master your craft. The vanilla ice cream, right? Yeah, the chocolate sauce. I use that analogy all the time. You can add the nuts and all that. That's great. But if it's just a bowl of sauce and nuts, it doesn't taste good. You need the ice cream. You need that foundation to make a hot fudge sundae. You know what I'm saying? To make a good wrestler, a good wrestling company. You need that identity. You need at least a formula, a recipe that everyone follows, and then you can do your own thing from there. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And this is where talent development becomes absolutely critical. It's the same in European football. Like, say, for example, for my team in the Premier League, Liverpool, what the previous coach did really, really well was that they restructured the academies and all the age group teams in order to actually play the same way, the same formations, the same identity, the same style of play. So when they had an injury crisis last season, a lot of the younger players who were like 16, 17, 18, 19 years of age had to step up to the first team, and they knew exactly what their roles were. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and they created an entire generation of stars off the back of that. The actual parallel is what's going on in WWE right now for a number of years with NXT. But I think the most interesting part of what they've done recently is this ID scheme. And if you, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm thinking this through right, the Nightmare Factory is actually part of this ID scheme, which effectively means QT Marshall is effectively training people for WWE now.
It is, and also John Cena pulled up there and met with the kids at the Nightmare Factory the other day, man. We've been chronicling the WWE ID, I think, better than any show on this show, man. I've been showing clips of the people. I've been telling you about them as much as I can, and I've shown everyone.
Punk is heavily involved in that as well.
Yeah,
which I think suits really well. So the whole ID thing, because again, like what reason why a lot of the indie talent didn't quite break through with NXT, especially when Vince was still in charge, was that the whole, I don't know, the whole philosophy or the whole perspective was, well, we're going to have to knock the indie out of this kid. Do you know what I mean? And like teach them the WWE way and sort of rebuild them from the ground up. But I think the ID scheme kind of smooths that path a little bit more now and makes it a bit more of an easier transition. So, I mean, the talent development within WWE is absolutely next level.
Have you ever seen wrestling before? Have you ever watched wrestling before, pal? Then you're no good. Get the out of my
house. Such good, pal.
Have you ever watched wrestling?
Sports entertainment, pal.
We're superstars here, not wrestlers.
Here's just like a terrible botch.
God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, let's watch this a couple times. Let's see where it goes wrong. So instantly, this fat guy, zero athleticism, has probably never done anything cardiovascular focused in decades, getting this other seemingly tall gentleman. Now, I'm a tall gentleman, and I can sort of tell the way this guy's like sort of arched up while he's bending. He's a decently sized guy. Let's see. Gets him up. Look at those legs. That guy's about 6 or more. Little belly. That's fine. Hey, we're all living life. We're all doing our having a couple beers, doing our damnedest. So right now I'm sketchy. This guy's holding the pants, so you know it's going to be bad because that means he doesn't have enough support to just hold the legs. You know, like there's not enough support where he feels I need to pull my own head up from this guy's pants. I'm too low. is what this is. And you can tell by the way he's throwing his legs back too. He's trying to get higher up on this guy's chest. Now, unless the guy in the flannel hoists him up, that's not going to work. So you can already tell this guy's too low. And unless the guy in the red flannel leans all the way back on this one, this is going to be possibly life-ending. So let's continue.
Oh,
my
Jesus.
God. Now, thank God the idiot in the flannel protected this dude. Look, he protected him. Thank God. Look at how low this guy's hands are on the knees now. That means he's pulling his pants all the way down. And luckily, the idiot who didn't do this properly lands on his ass as an idiot. Look, see, his ass is out. I'm telling you guys. One more time. Like, he couldn't get his legs up enough. That's how you know he wasn't up high enough. That is hilarious. Thank God no one was seriously injured in that situation, though. Powerful King JJ says, apparently some folks are in denial and disagree with Bill Simmons' discount WWE comment during his podcast. This gentleman says, not Vinnie Mac 619, says Bill Simmons is jealous that AEW actually made WBD money and was renewed for HBO Max. WBD ain't made nobody money in a
WBD are in debt. A lot of that.
They were hiding the money they lost people. Do you understand? And it all got, they never made, no one's made money here.
And who's Bill Simons?
Bill Simons, right? Yeah,
like, wait a minute.
Let's go.
Grammar slam.
It's definitely Bill Simmons. As someone who was born a Red Sox fan, not a fan of any other Boston teams, but I know him from the Red Sox documentaries I've watched.
The Shacks. Speaking of the town, the Sacks. While his show only lasted 17, only lasted 17 episodes. Bitter Simons is all this is.
Absolutely no reference to the fact that he sold the Ringer for something like $200 million to Spotify now.
This guy with seemingly like Orange Cassidy or something in his profile picture goes, MJF is a star. Maybe when his movies come out, he'll become their household name.
Yeah, or maybe if he can stop himself from getting cut out of every movie he's been in.
Oh, shit. Paul Nolan came with fucking nukes ready.
I've had a glass of wine and a steak. I'm in the mood.
That's the Paul I like. That's the Paul I love. So Trevor Dame goes, people who are critical of AEW using the Costco boys need to realize this is an old trick. WCW was putting D-grade celebrities in dark matches 30 years ago. Is Rizzler a modern-day Danny Bonaducci? Yes. That's a good point. Should someone be offended by the comparison? Yes. It's true. Do I know who? No. Fair enough. My response...
That's actually the most rational thing I've ever seen Trevor Dame actually say.
Right? Exactly. So I say, I personally don't care, but you can't compare AEW to WWE or WCW is the thing. And that's just my overarching thing. I'll argue if I'm going to debate any of these people, it's like, no, it's incomparable, man. And this is why. I wrote both of these companies had celebrities come in, and it helped their business more times than not. AEW is 0 for life with celebrity crossover so far. Maybe this AJ Boom guy, though, actually did something here, but I said they never do anything interesting with them, and they don't even have one babyface that's actually over as a star and a draw. So to shift any focus onto this obscure TikTok star for children is a weird move when the rest of the show is riddled with blood, guts, Yahtzee, sorry YouTube, people rubbing their titties together, etc. It's just another example of AEW's identity crisis more than anything. They aren't sure what they want to be because everyone's just doing whatever they want, with TK's little stamp of approval at the end. Mike Tyson during the Attitude Era was a perfect fit for obvious reasons. Logan Paul is a real athlete with decades to give the business yet. Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman were badasses feuding in the NBA, and it bled over, so both men and women enjoyed it. AEW is, quote, all violence, all athletes, sports-based, tits out, blood, kidnappings, tables, cages, staple guns, hypodermic needles, and here's the Costco guy who little kids watch do dumb dances online. It's just bad in that regard, but otherwise I have no problem with it, and the dad actually cut a better promo than 80% of the AEW roster. Air horns for Phil. Yeah.
And Malone and Robin was like right after the NBA finals that they just played each other. Like it was like June, they were in the finals and they were in like their summer.
Yes.
It was topical.
Yeah, I totally agree that you can't compare AEW to WCW. That is until next year when we inevitably get AEW hog wild from Sturgis.
The parade of champions.
Antonio
Yeah.
trying to look like a badass on a motorcycle. Yes.
Yeah,
Give me that.
exactly. Yeah, with full leather assless chaps.
Like
Of
Tyson
course.
on the next Netflix fight.
Oh, Mike, I felt so sorry for Mike. I'm sorry, but like,
Bro.
especially that.